You might have realized that real life is often stranger than fiction. In this case from the Philippines, which some have compared to the plot of the film Orphan, it's clear that the weirdest events do happen in real life. Because even that horror movie makes more sense than what was going on in the lives of this picture-perfect family. Cruz Maguad was a teacher based in Cotabato in the Philippines, married to Lovella, a principal at an elementary school. They had a teenage son and a daughter who was about to graduate as a doctor. They'd also adopted a 17-year-old girl who had been living with the family since July 2021. On December the 10th, 2021, Cruz was out of work as usual when a bit after 2 p.m. he received a terrifying message. Someone was ransacking the house where his children were. Cruz rushed home and even broke down the door to see what was going on. He couldn't get in at the front, so he went around to the back where he saw a bloodied blanket. To his horror, the place seemed to have been torn apart. As he went further inside, shouting for his children, he found them on the floor. They weren't moving. Then he heard someone calling for mum and dad. His adopted daughter came out of the bathroom with her hair still wet from bathing. She calmly said, "Welcome home, Dad." And, well, that was strange, because she had never called him that before, but he didn't have time to think about it because his 2 children were dead under mysterious circumstances, and the prime suspect was the last person he could have imagined. The police soon became suspicious and brought the adopted daughter in for questioning. Why hadn't she been in danger too? Cruz had found the broken bodies of his children, Chrisfield Louise, known as Boy, and Grizzle Gwen. They had suffered shocking injuries. The violent attack and apparent robbery was first blamed on 3 random men. The adopted daughter claimed 3 men had broken in and robbed the house and she had hidden in the cabinet. The robbers, she said, killed her siblings using a baseball bat and hammer. Pretty brutal, right? But her story didn't add up. She'd already posted on social media calling for help, but those messages had gone at the same time Cruz was arriving home. Maybe you can already see why they were having some issues believing her story. I mean, you're having a bath while your siblings are lying dead in the next room. Not really something someone does, is it? Even stranger. Grizzle's head had been covered with a towel for hours, and it seemed to have happened a few hours before the adopted daughter had called for help. The hammer and baseball bat had come from inside the house, and only the adopted daughter and parents knew where the hammer was hidden. It had recently been hidden in the back of their house. As all of this evidence mounted up, it pointed to one unlikely suspect. Yeah, that's exactly why the police brought the adopted Maguire daughter in for questioning. But who exactly was she? And just why was the Maguire case getting compared to the film Orphan? Similar in one way, the girl had been adopted into a happy family, welcoming family home. The 2 siblings had also been very popular, and it's easy to see why. Chrysler was part of a CFC Youth for Christ Church and was studying to be a doctor. She even reposted alerts about lost cats, and she seemed like a really wonderful person to know. Sadly, her Facebook page is now just a memorial. Her baby brother, known as Baby Boy, often danced with her on TikTok, and he always looked really happy. Other than a slight resemblance, I think the comparison to the Orphan movie is not accurate. But it did get this case a lot of attention, which could be good or bad. Not long after the siblings' bodies were discovered, the case went viral on TikTok and Twitter. Before long, the hashtag Justice for Maguad Siblings was trending hard. A lot of public suspicion fell on the adopted daughter. There was a lot of anger that the authorities weren't publicizing the case enough. Nobody was being told what was going on, or that's how it seemed. Basically, everybody wanted to know why the adopted daughter wasn't already being charged. I mean, there are procedures that police are supposed to follow, and this kind of thing can take time, right? But despite the fact that she was a teenager and a minor, the adopted girl's name got leaked all over the internet. And because she's a minor, I'm not going to spill that tea here. It's pretty easy to find out, and it's probably not a great thing that was so spread around. It's really not fair on her friends and family who are still dealing with what happened. So the authorities and Maguad parents asked the public to stop speculating and posting conspiracy theories. This was all still being investigated, but that didn't seem to stop any of it going on. One of their friends on Facebook even wrote that only the court can determine the perpetrators of this crime and not our posts. Facebook is not the proper venue. But we do know the girl went by a fake name or alter ego on Facebook. A few of her posts were kind of disturbing, like here, when I tried to comfort someone. That post was right after Cruz Maguad found his 2 children killed at his home. Remember, that was when she was coming out of the bathroom. Yeah, pretty creepy. But the creepiest part is how normal she seems to be when she's hanging out with the others. Even if I can't name her here, you have to wonder, who is she, and had she shown any signs of being unstable before she did this horrific thing? Well, the girl they adopted had stolen a large amount of cash from the church they all attended. But the Maguad family had chosen to forgive her. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's been tricky to get a lot of reliable information on this case, and there are many rumors. But the crazy case still isn't over yet, and people just want justice for them both. The comments about what happened are usually pretty angry. For example, life sentence, no pardon to the killer. While other people wanted to wait and see what the authorities said, saying she may be suspicious, but innocent until declared not. And let's call for justice, but stop hating her because we're depriving her of the same justice we're clamoring for. But eventually, what really happened would be clear to everyone. Well, mostly. 6 days later, after the siblings were found, and after all that loud speculation and reveals of disturbing photographs, the adopted daughter admitted what people had suspected all along. She finally came clean, and she said that she was the one that committed the attack. Why? Apparently due to her jealousy and need for attention from her adopted parents, which is why she called them mum and dad for the very first time after the bodies were discovered. Police had also found her bloodied clothes and underwear in a nearby canal. One part it hasn't shaken off is that similarity to Orphan, a film from 2009. To be honest, the only real similarity the case has to the movie is that the family took somebody in who was totally disturbed. And while the Maguad's family's adopted daughter was dangerous, as far as I know, she isn't also a 40-year-old woman pretending to be in 8th grade. Otherwise, it all sounds like the internet was right. So apart from the trial, the case looked like it was all over. But that hasn't stopped people trying to contact the Maguad siblings in the afterlife. I guess they have a pretty good reception over there. Your mileage in the spirit boxes may vary. They apparently translate words from beyond the grave, but I wouldn't want to bet a trial on what it spits out. In the meantime, Grizzle Gwyn and her brother have been laid to rest, and I still can't imagine what it's like for their poor parents. Their mum posted a long tribute in early January, and it ended with, "Please continue to pray for us, for God's grace and intervention to finally get justice, to bring peace to all of us." The local governor, Emilu Mendoza, said, "What is saddening here is that the primary suspect is an adopted family member who was treated like a blood relative and cared for well by the family. Of course, what happened to the Maguad siblings is a huge tragedy, and I wonder if people will be less willing to adopt because of all the publicity around the case. I just hope they understand that it's a totally bizarre case that doesn't happen every day. But even with all the confusion, this case keeps bringing the weirdness. Police are now apparently looking for an altar boy from the church choir, which Grizzle and her family attended. So the girl probably didn't act alone, and Grizzle Gwyn's cell phone is also being picked up. It was in the hands of a random local addict after it went missing. It's all really weird. Sometimes you just don't know what someone else is capable of. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's all I've got time for today. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with all of my latest videos. In the meantime, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.